Shalom and good morning. Today we are reading in 1 Samuel chapter 13. And Shaul was years old when he began to reign, and when he had reigned 2 years over Yashrael. Shaul chose for himself 3,000 men of Yashrael, and 2,000 were with Shaul in Michmash in the mountains of Beth El, and 1,000 were with Jonathan in Gibeah of Benjamin. And the rest of the people he sent away, each to his tent. And Jonathan smote the watchpost of the Peshalites that was in Gibeah, and the Peshalites heard of it, and Shaul blew the ram's horn throughout all the land, saying, "Let the Ibram hear." And all Yashrael heard the news that Shaul had smitten a watchpost of the Pelishites, and also that Yashrael had become a stench to the Pelishites. And the people were summoned to Shaul at Gilgal. And the Pelishites gathered to fight Yashrael, 30,000 chariots and 6,000 horsemen, and the people as numerous as sand on the seashore. And they came up and camped in Michmash, east of Beth Awen. And the men of Yashrael saw that they were in trouble, for the people were distressed, and the people hid in caves, and in thorny bushes, and in rocks, and in holes, and in pits. And Ibram passed over the Jordan to the land of Gad and Gilead. But Shaul was still in Gilgal, and all the people followed him, trembling. And he waited for 7 days, according to the appointed time with Samuel. But Samuel did not come to Gilgal, and the people were scattered from him. And Shaul said, "Bring a burnt offering and peace offering here to me." And he offered the burnt offering. And it came to be as he had finished offering the burnt offering, look, Samuel came. And Shaul went out to meet him, to barak him. Then Samuel said, "What have you done?" And Shaul said, "Because I saw that the people were scattered from me, and that you did not come within the day's appointment, and that the Pelishites gathered at Michmash. So I said, the Pelishites are going to come down on me at Gilgal, and I have not appeased the face of Yahu'ah. So I felt compelled and offered a burnt offering." And Samuel said to Shaul, "You have been foolish. You have not guarded the command of Yahu'ah your Elohim, which he commanded you. For now Yahu'ah would have established your reign over Yashrael forever. But now your reign is not going to stand. Yahu'ah shall seek for himself a man after his own heart, and Yahu'ah shall command him to be leader over his people, because you have not guarded what Yahu'ah commanded you." And Samuel arose and went up from Gilgal to Gibeah of Benjamin. And Shaul mustered the people who were present with him, about 600 men. And Shaul and Jonathan his son, and the people who were present with him remained in Gibeah of Benjamin, while the Pelishites camped at Michmash. And from the camp of the Pelishites, raiders went out in 3 companies. The one company turned to the way that leads to Ophrah, to the land of Shaul. And another company turned toward the way of Beth Horon. And another company turned toward the way of the border that overlooks the valley of Seboim toward the wilderness. Now no blacksmith could be found in all the land of Yashrael, for the Pelishites said, lest the Ibram make swords or spears. And all Yashrael went down to the Pelashites, each one to sharpen his plowshare, and his matlock, and his axe, and his sickle. And the charge was a pim for the plowshare, and the matlocks, and the forks, and the axes, and to point the goads. And it came to be on the day of battle, there was neither sword nor spear found in hand of any of the people who were with Shaul and Jonathan, but they were found with Shaul and Jonathan his son. And the outposts of the Pelashites went out to pass of Michmash. Chapter 14. And it came to be one day that Jonathan, son of Shaul, said, the young man who bore his armor, come and let us go over to the outpost of the Pelashites, which is on the other side. But he did not inform his father. And Shaul remained at the outskirts of Gaban under the pomegranate tree of Migron. And the people who were with him were about 600 men. And Ayahu, son of Anitub, Ichabod's brother, son of Pinus, son of Eli, the Kohan of Yahu'ah in Shiloh, was wearing a shoulder garment, and the people did not know that Jonathan had gone. And between the passes by which Jonathan sought to go over to the outpost of the Pelashites, there was an edge of a rock on one side, and an edge of a rock on the other side. And the name of one was Bosetz, and the name of the other Saneh. The one edge was on the north opposite Michmash, and the other on the south opposite Geba. And Jonathan said to the young man who bore his armor, come and let us go over to the outposts of these uncircumcised. If it be Yahu'ah work for us, for there is no hindrance for Yahu'ah to save by many or by few. And his armor-bearer said to him, do all that is in your heart, incline yourself. See, I am with you according to your heart. And Jonathan said, see, we are passing over to the men, and show ourselves to them. If they say this to us, wait until we come to you. Then we shall stand still in our place and not go up to them. But if they say this, come to us, then we should go up, for Yahuwah has given them into our hand, and this is the sign to us. And both of them disclosed themselves to the outpost of the Pelashites. And the Pelashites said, see, the Ibram are coming out of the holes where they have hidden. And the men of the outpost called to Jonathan and his armor-bearer and said, come up to us, and let us teach you a lesson. And Jonathan, let us teach you a lesson. Then Jonathan said to his armor-bearer, come up after me, for Yahuwah has given them into the hand of Yashrael. And Jonathan climbed up on his hands and knees with his armor-bearer after him. And they fell before Jonathan, and his armor-bearer was putting them to death behind him. And that first slaughter which Jonathan and his armor-bearer made was about 20 men, in about half a yoke furrowed field. And there was trembling in the camp, in the field, and among all the people. The outposts and the raiders also trembled, and the ground shook, and it became a trembling of Yahu'ah. And the watchmen of Shaul in Geba of Benjamin looked and saw the crowd melting away, and they went here and there. And Shaul said to the people who were with him, Please inspect and see what has gone from us. So they inspected and saw that Jonathan and his armor-bearer were missing. And Shaul said to Ahiyahu, bring the ark of Yahu'ah here, for the ark of Yahu'ah was with the children of Yashrael on that day. And it came to be, while Shaul talked to the Kohan, that the noise which was in the camp of the Pelishites went on, and became great. So Shaul said to the Kohan, withdraw your hand. And Shaul was called, and all the people who were with him, and they went to battle. And see, every man's sword was against his neighbor, in a very great confusion. And the Abram who were with the Pelishites before that time, who went up with them into the camp, turned round, they too, to be with Yashrael, who were with Shaul and Jonathan. And all the men of Yashrael who had hidden in the mountains of Ephraim heard that the Pelishites fled, and they also pursued them in the battle. Thus Yahu'ah saved Yashrael that day, and the battle passed over to Baeth Awen. And the men of Yashrael were distressed that day, for Shaul had placed the people under oath, saying, cursed be the man who eats food until evening, and I have taken revenge on my enemies. Therefore none of the people tasted food. And all the land came into the woods, and there was honey on the ground. And the people came into the woods and saw the honey dripping, but no one put his hand to his mouth, for the people revered the oath. But Jonathan had not heard that his father had taken an oath of the people, and he stretched out the end of the rod that was in his hand, and dipped in the honeycomb, and put his hand to his mouth, and his eyes lit up. Then one of the people said, your father strictly took an oath of the people, saying, cursed be the man who eats food today. And the people were wary. And Jonathan said, my father has troubled the land. Now see how my eyes lit up when I tasted a little of this honey. How much better if the people had well eaten today of the spoil of their enemies which they found. For then would not the smiting among the Pelishites have been greater. And they smote the Pelishites that day from Michmash to Elion. So the people were very wary. And the people pounced on the soil, and took sheep and cattle and calves, and slaughtered them on the ground, and the people ate with the blood. And they told Shaul, saying, look, the people are sinning against Yahu'ah by eating with the blood. And he said, you have acted treacherously. Roll a large stone to me today. And Shaul said, disperse among the people, and say to them, each one bring his ox near to me, and each one his sheep. And you shall slaughter them here and eat. And do not sin against Yahu'ah by eating with the blood. So every one of the people brought his ox with him that night, and slaughtered it there. And Shaul built an altar to Yahu'ah. It was the first altar he built to Yahu'ah. And Shaul said, let us go down after the Pelishites by night, and plunder them until morning light, and not leave a man of them. And they said, do whatever seems good to you. But the Kohan said, let us draw near to Yahu'ah here. And Shaul asked of Yahu'ah, should I go down after the Pelishites? Do you give them into the hand of Yashrael? But he did not answer him that day. And Shaul said, come over here, all you chiefs of the people, and know and see what this sin was today. Excuse me. For as Yahu'ah lives, who saves Yashrael, though it be in Jonathan my son, he shall certainly die. But not one among all the people answered him. And he said to all Yashrael, you be on one side, and my son Jonathan and I be on the other side. And the people said to Shaul, do you do what seems good to you? Then Shaul said to Yahu'ah, Eluah of Yashrael, give a perfect one. And Shaul and Jonathan were taken, but the people escaped. And Shaul said, cast between my son Jonathan and me. And Jonathan was taken. Shaul then said to Jonathan, explain to me what you have done. And Jonathan explained to him and said, I only tasted a little honey with the end of the rod that was in my hand. And see, let me die. And Shaul answered, Eluah do so and more also, for you shall certainly die, Jonathan. But the people said to Shaul, should Jonathan die, who has wrought this great deliverance in Yashrael? Far be it, as Yahu'ah lives, let not one hair of his head fall to the ground, for he has wrought with Eluah this day. Thus the people rescued Jonathan, and he did not die. And Shaul returned from pursuing the Pelishites, and the Pelishites went to their own place. And Shaul took the reign over Yashrael and fought against all his enemies round about, against Moab, and against the children of Ammon, and against Edom, and against the sovereigns of Sobath, and against the Pelishites, and wherever he turned, he caused trouble. And he gathered an army and smote the Amalekites, and delivered Yashrael from the hands of those who plundered them. And the sons of Shaul were Jonathan and Yashua and Malchusha. And the names of his two daughters were these: the name of the firstborn, Merab, and the name of the younger, Michal. And the name of Shaul's wife was Ahinoam, the daughter of Ammonites. And the name of the commander of his army was Abner, son of Ner, uncle of Shaul. And Kish was the father of Shaul. And Ner, the father of Abner, was the son of Abriel. And there was fierce fighting against the Pelishites all the days of Shaul. And when Shaul saw any mighty man or any brave man, he took him for himself. Chapter 15. And Shamuel said to Shaul, Yahu'ah sent me to anoint you sovereign over his people, over Yashrael. And now listen to the voice of the words of Yahu'ah. Thus said Yahu'ah of hosts, I shall punish Amalek for what he did to Yashrael, how he positioned against him on the way when he came up from Misraim. Now go, and you shall smite Amalek, and put under the bond all that he has, and you shall not spare them, and put them to death, from man to woman, from infant to nursing child, from ox to sheep, from camel to donkey. Then Shaul summoned the people and mustered them in Telaim, 200,000 foot soldiers and 10,000 men of Yehudah. And Shaul came to a city of Amalek and lay in wait in the Wadi. And Shaul said to the Canaanites, Go turn aside, come down from among the Amalekites, lest I destroy you with them. For you showed kindness to all the children of Yashrael when they came up out of Misraim. So the Canaanites turned aside from the midst of the Amalekites. And Shaul smote the Amalekites from Hawali all the way to Shur, which is before Misraim. And he caught Agag, sovereign of the Amalekites alive and put under the bond all the people with the edge of the sword. But Shaul and the people spared Agag and the best of the sheep and the cattle and the fatlings and the lambs and all that was good, and would not put them under the bond, but all goods despised and worthless, that they be put under the bond. And the word of Yahuwah came to Shamuel, saying, I am grieved that I have appointed Shaul as sovereign, for he has turned back from following me, and has not performed my words. And it displeased Shamuel, and he cried to Yahuwah all night. And Shamuel rose early in the morning to meet Shaul, and it was told to Shamuel, saying, Shaul went to Carmel, and see, he put up a monument for himself, then turned and passed over, and went down to Gilgal. And Shamuel came to Shaul, and Shaul said to him, Baruch are you of Yahuwah, I have performed the word of Yahuwah. But Shamuel said, What then is this bleating of the sheep in my ears, and the lowing of the cattle which I hear? And Shaul said, They have brought them from Abimelech, because the people spared the best of the sheep and the cattle to slaughter to Yahuwah your Eluah, and the rest we have put under the bond. And Shamuel said to Shaul, Wait, and let me declare to you what Yahuwah said to me last night. And he said to him, Speak. And Shamuel said, Though you were little in your own eyes, you were not head of the tribe of Yashrael. And did not Yahuwah anoint you sovereign over Yashrael? And Yahuwah sent you on the way, and said, Go, and you shall put under the bond the sinners, the Amalekites, and fight against them until they are consumed. And why did you not obey the voice of Yahuwah, but swooped down on the spoil and did evil in the eyes of Yahuwah? And Shaul said to Samuel, I did obey the voice of Yahuwah, and I went on the way on which Yahuwah sent me, and brought back Agag, sovereign of Abimelech, and I put Abimelech under the bond. But the people took of the spoil of the sheep and cattle, the best of which should have been put under the bond, to slaughter to Yahuwah your Eluah in Gilgal. Then Shamuel said, Does Yahuwah delight in burnt offerings and slaughterings as in obeying the voice of Yahuwah? Look, to obey is better than an offering, and to heed than the fat of rams. For rebellion is as the sin of divination, and stubbornness is as wickedness and idolatry. Because you have rejected the word of Yahuwah, he also rejects you as sovereign. And Shaul said to Shamuel, I have sinned, for I have transgressed the command of Yahuwah, and your words, because I feared the people and listened to their voice. Now, please pardon my sin, and return with me, and let me bow myself to Yahuwah. But Shamuel said to Shaul, I do not return with you, for you have rejected the word of Yahuwah, and Yahuwah rejects you from being sovereign over Yashrael. And as Shamuel turned to go away, Shaul seized the edge of his robe, and it tore. And Shamuel said to him, Yahuwah has torn the reign of Yashrael from you today, and has given it to a neighbor of yours better than you. Moreover, the eminence of Yashrael does not lie nor relent, for he is not a man that he should relent. Then he said, I have sinned, but esteem me now, please, before the elders of my people and before Yashrael, and return with me, and I shall bow myself to Yahuwah your Eluah. And Shamuel turned back after Shaul, and Shaul bowed himself to Yahuwah. And Shamuel said, Bring Agag, sovereign of the Amaleks, here to me. So Agag came to him diligently, and Agag said, "Truly the bitterness of death has turned aside." And Shamuel said, "As your sword bereaved women, let your mother be bereaved among women too." Shamuel then hewed Agag to pieces before Yahu'ah in Gilgal. And Shamuel went to Ramah, while Shaul went up to his house at Gigbah of Shaul. And Samuel did not see Shaul again until the day of his death, for Shamuel mourned for Shaul, and Yahu'ah was grieved that he had made Shaul to reign over Yashrael. Chapter 16. And Yahu'ah said to Shamuel, how long are you going to mourn for Shaul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Yashrael? Fill your horn with oil and go. I'm sending you to Yeshai the Baeth-lemite, for I have seen among his sons a sovereign for myself. And Shamuel said, how would I go? When Shaul hears it, he shall kill me. And Yahu'ah said, take a heifer with you, and say, I have come to slaughter to Yahu'ah. And you shall invite Yeshai to the slaughtering, and let me show you what to do. And you shall anoint for me the one I say to you. And Shamuel did what Yahu'ah said, and went to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, do you come in peace? And he said, in peace I have come to slaughter to Yahu'ah. Kadosh yourselves, and you shall come with me to the slaughtering. And he Kadosh Yeshai and his sons, and invited them to the slaughtering. And it came to be, when they came, that he saw Eliab, and thought, the anointed of Yahu'ah is indeed before him. But Yahu'ah said to Shamuel, do not look at his appearance, or at the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For not as man sees, for man looks at the eyes, but Yahu'ah looks at the heart. Then Yeshai called Abinadab, and made him pass before Shamuel. And he said, neither has Yahu'ah chosen this one. Next, Yeshai made Shammah pass by, and he said, neither has Yahu'ah chosen this one. And Yeshai made 7 of his sons pass before Shamuel, and Shamuel said to Yeshai, Yahu'ah has not chosen these. And Samuel said to Yeshai, are these all the young men? And he said, there remains yet the youngest, and see, he is tending the sheep. And Shamuel said to Yeshai, send him and bring him, for we do not turn round till he comes here. And he sent and brought him in, and he was tanned, with bright eyes, and good-looking. And Yahu'ah said, arise, anoint him, for this is the one. And Shamuel took the horn of oil, and anointed him in the midst of his brothers. And the Ruah of Yahu'ah came upon Dod from that day and onwards. And Shamuel arose and went to Ramah. And the Ruah of Yahu'ah turned aside from Shaul, and an evil spirit from Yahu'ah troubled him. And the servants of Shaul said to him, look, now an evil spirit from Yahu'ah is troubling you. Please let our master command your servants who are before you to seek out a man who is a skilled player on the lyre. And it shall be that when the evil spirit from Yahu'ah is upon you, that he shall play with his hand, and you be well. And Shaul said to his servants, please get me a man that plays well, and bring him to me. And one of the servants answered and said, look, I have seen a son of Yeshai the Baeth-lemite, who knows how to play, a brave one, and a man of battle, and skilled in words, and a handsome man, and Yahu'ah is with him. So Shaul sent messengers to Yeshua and said, Send me your son Dod, who is with the sheep. And Yeshua took a donkey loaded with bread and a skin of wine and a young goat and sent them by his son Dod to Shaul. And Dod came to Shaul and stood before him, and he loved him greatly, and he became his armor-bearer. Shaul therefore sent to Yeshua, saying, Please let Dod stand before me, for he has found favor in my eyes. And it came to be, whenever the spirit from Yahu'ah was upon Shaul, that Dod would take a lyre and play it with his hand. Then Shaul would become refreshed and well, and the evil spirit would leave him.